Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. This video is all about trying to understand what's going on with the partnership between Ripple and MoneyGram, because on July 24th, we see that Visa and MoneyGram had this release. And a lot of people were talking about it yesterday on YouTube. And in addition, I reached out into the Twitter space and was asking lots of questions, but I just couldn't get to a point that I was satisfied with the information that was out there. So I'm trying to, in this video, bring a little bit more detail as to what's happening, the background, and then how it developed, and then where it might go in the future. So the Business Wire announced that MoneyGram and Visa announced a strategic agreement that will modernize and digitize the process of sending and receiving money overseas. So utilizing Visa Direct, okay, is Visa's real-time push payment platform. That's a kind of a key phrase for you to remember. And the agreement will enable secure cross-border remittances once live. So MoneyGram's service will enable its users to choose the preferred method of sending and receiving funds. I think why everybody was caught by surprise is because if you remember, back in January 2018, Ripple and MoneyGram partnered to modernize payments. So it was a little bit of a head scratcher to see the MoneyGram Visa announcement. Now, like I said, that key phrase, push payments, is something that's important. So here we look at the payments.com website, and we can find that push payments in particular deliver instant, safe-to-spend funds directly into the consumer's account. So that's another thing to remember here. It's into the consumer's account. And they can be used in an instant, irreversible digital payment for any transaction that traditionally involves cash, paper checks, or an ACH transaction. And the market for push payments is enormous. Says that it is 22 billion in regards to checks written each year alone, valued at 22 trillion, according to the Federal Reserve studies. So they are obviously tapping into a very large market. This is an illustration that I can easily show you the Visa Direct consumer-to-consumer workflow, if you will. So you've got from left to right, you have your channels, which could be a mobile, internet, a branch bank, agent, or an ATM or kiosk. Then the money moves from your Visa account or your bank account, or even where you are walking up to a kiosk and handing in cash. Then that money travels to the originating bank, which goes over the Visa network, and then it arrives in the hands of the recipient issuer. And then it goes into the Visa account holder. So you can see here, that could be a credit card, it could be a debit card, or it could be a reloadable prepaid card. And actually, Visa says that they are card type agnostic, meaning they don't care what or who is the originator of or the issuer of the card. They are providing this Visa network for this flow. And then it ends up either at the store / merchant, or it could be an online transaction, or it could then end up in the form of being withdrawn out of an ATM for cash. So, all right, keep following me here. If we take it back to August 2016, this is when the Visa group announced their technology with companies and financial institutions that were selecting the Visa Direct for real-time payments. And they announced that more companies in the United States are choosing Visa Direct to expand their real-time payment service. And the Visa Direct is a payment platform designed to allow financial institutions, developers, and partners to offer secure real-time person-to-person P2P payments and business disbursements, such as insurance claims, payments, contractor payments, tax refunds, and other forms of business payment services. Okay? Here are the people that Visa Direct has highlighted or has put on their website as to who can benefit from this real-time payment experience. So healthcare industry, property and casualty sector, sharing economies. It could even mean among friends and family, for example. Online marketplaces, lotteries, games, financial institution, businesses, governments, life insurance, and contract staffing. Okay, so just so we understand who their customer is. Now, we look back again, 2016, October, Visa announced that they are introducing an international B2B payment solution built on Chain's blockchain technology. So you see the VisaNet is doing more of the P2P, and then we have their B2B payment solution, which has used Chain's technology. So the blockchain infrastructure helps to deliver fast, more transparent way for corporate clients to exchange payments across the world. And they announced a preview of the Visa B2B Connect. So B2B Connect. It's a new platform that Visa is developing to give financial institutions a simple, fast, and secure way to process business-to-business payments globally. All right, so this is, when you hear about VisaNet, it is a solution for P2P. When you hear about the B2B Connect, that is for the B2B model. Okay, so all of these links are going to be down in the comment section below. Chain is a company that's based in San Francisco, and they're a technology company, of course, and they're on a mission to enable a smarter and more connected economy. They build cryptographic ledgers that underpin breakthrough financial products and services. Here's where it gets very interesting. So just recently, this is Fortune, and Fortune announced on June 20th that Stellar is in talks to acquire Chain. And Chain, of course, is the San Francisco-based startup company that we just looked at that's building the blockchain technology for the financial industry. And according to this deal, with people familiar with it, Fortune understands that the sale price is to be $500 million paid in Stellar's digital currency lumens. And Chain, just so you know, they actually, it says here they've raised more than $43 million in venture funding from very big names, including Pantera. However, I think that amount, the overall amount, is actually bigger than that. I do believe. Okay, but Lumens, as everyone knows, in case you don't, was founded by Ripple's co-founder Jed McCaleb. And Stellar Lumens, which is under the ticker XLM, is the 7th most valuable cryptocurrency on the market cap, with more than 4.3 billion. So, yeah, this part is interesting. And the reason why is because lumens is a currency, and it is, if we take a look here, that the Stellar and Chain were in a fierce battle to hire top developers. And it could be the reason why Stellar went to acquire Chain is because they really felt there was a lack or need of top developers. And because they were both in a fierce battle fighting for that talent, it is, according to this article, it was easier for them to just acquire Chain and bring its engineering talent on board. So that's just kind of a little side story to that. I want to just see if I needed to cover anything from the Fortune. Okay, no. So let's keep going. All right. What are lumens? So Stellar, of course, is the name of the open source technology designed to be a distributed payment system. But like XRP, the purpose of the Lumen coin is to offer liquidity in the transaction process occurring on the Stellar network. So it's a cross-border transaction or these involving multiple currencies. The transfer of the fiat to Lumen and back again provides individuals and businesses with a faster, cheaper method than using traditional payment services. And because of this reliance upon liquidity, Stellar lumens are a large supply of crypto with a circulating supply of 17.8 billion XLM and a max supply of 100 billion. And from this investment standpoint, don't expect to see it hit $1 anytime soon, it says, according to this article. But while the coin has managed significant gains over the past 2 weeks, the price is likely to stabilize as a fear of missing out subsides and investors in search of exponential gains move to other coins. Yeah, this is just, this was written actually back in December. However, I just want to point out that with Ripple, when they deploy XRapid, they use the XRP as a form of liquidity. So for Stellar, they're using their Lumen coin the same way as a form of liquidity. Now, this is a podcast that just took place. It's this one is dated the 27th of July. And it's a podcast with the head of North America, Push Payments, for Visa Direct, and explains why push payments are gaining traction in this space. And I think you're going to really find this interesting because the primary way to move money between banks has been to daily batch. It's the old way. It's the antiquated way. But what Visa Direct does is it replaces this system, and it's built on the Visa rails. Okay, so this is a Visa technology, and we can assume it is the technology that was built by Chain from what I just read. And then we can also assume that the purchase of Chain has been done by Stellar. So when you listen to this podcast, she says that the settlement time is about 18 seconds. And with Visa Direct, of course, they're pushing to credit card or pushing to debit card. However, she says that as this evolves, the next step is to do cross-border. And the cross-border is more of a business disbursement or real-time cross-border solution. So if you go to the 27 mark in that podcast, you can hear exactly what it is. She refers to the next step. This is the actual PDF for that entire podcast. So if you prefer to read it, you can read it. She says here, Peter, he is the interviewer. And there was actually a panel of 3. And Cecilia is talking about the next step in the evolution. So he says, so then, are you just focused internally in North America? Obviously, Visa is probably in every country in the world, I'm guessing. So I'm interested about the implications of this for maybe cross-border payments at some point. So where does it stand? I mean, is this really a U.S. product right now? And where does it stand as far as cross-border? And she answers back, no. So cross-border, she was answering no, is this just a U.S. product? No. So cross-border is absolutely a phenomenal opportunity. And this, and this is actually one of my favorites. So if you think about cross-border and we think about it as cross-border remittance, which is, P2P, that's me sending money back to my mom in my home country. Or that's B2C disbursement, a business paying out, maybe an app developer in another country. We think that it's a fabulous opportunity. We already see transactions going cross-border, and it's a big push for us, for Visa globally. I think if you step back and you think about the global reach, so Visa has about 3 billion cards globally. And he says, wow, okay. And she says, right. I mean, so it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable amount of reach. And if you think about the notion of being able to push money around the world in real time, and again, I'll remind you, she says that real time is 18 seconds in this podcast. Traditionally we think of either like, let's say, a global ACH or even a SWIFT or a correspondence banking that can often take days and can get tied up and lost, and it's not always the easiest thing to keep track of. But the transaction is the exact same around the world, and it uses VisaNet around the world, so there's no complicated jumping from bank to bank. It's a very straightforward, reliable transaction, so we're very excited about it, and there is some really great momentum in the cross-border space as well. Yeah, he says, it sounds like it's bigger than any of these use cases. She says, I know, right, and laughs. She says, he says, it's still very frustrating. I mean, we're getting there. There are obviously lots of startups, and there's a whole lot of blockchain companies working on this, but you've got a huge advantage in having everything in place right now. And she answers back, yeah. So I feel like I understand a little bit more in regards to that press release. And that press release that was from the 24th is more of the VisaNet, which is a P2P solution for their push transactions. However, I think we can see from this podcast and from the announcements that they're working with Chain to build their B2B platform, and the fact that Chain is going to be acquired by Stellar Lumens could provide quite the competition. So I would love to know your thoughts, and I hope that it provides a little more clarity for you, because I just was so confused, like I said, when I saw the MoneyGram Visa partnership announcement. So that's all I have for you in regards to that story. However, as you know, David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, he had a Ask Me Anything 2 days ago, and I put in a question, and I asked about the details of the XRapid, and I wanted to know that with the new partnership they announced with Bittrex, Bitso, and Coins Plus, how much of the XRP token is needed to provide that maximum benefit of liquidity for each transaction. And I also asked that, are these tokens kept on hand, or are they reused, or do they have to regularly acquire them? And if that latter is the case, are they purchased, or does Ripple provide them? So I'm really happy that David answered my question. And you can see here that he says for XRapid to work, there has to be sufficient liquidity between XRP and the local fiat currency to permit fiat currency to be bought and sold as needed. And a lot of this liquidity is already being provided organically by market makers. XRapid will just mean that instead of probably trading almost exclusively with speculators, market makers will increasingly trade with market takers, trying to source liquidity through XRP if needed. And Ripple will consider employing third-party market makers to provide additional liquidity where existing market making insufficient. So that was a great answer. And I really now understand that should XRP need additional market makers to provide liquidity, I would imagine that Stellar Lumens, the Lumens coin, will also need that same boost, if you will, to work efficiently. And what is a market maker or liquidity provider? It's a company or an individual that quotes both a buy and a sell price in a financial instrument or commodity held in inventory. So hoping to make a profit on the bid-offer spread or turn. And the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission defines a market maker as a firm that stands ready to buy and sell stock on a regular and continuous basis at a publicly quoted price. So I just took a look at the list of market makers in Japan, and the Mitsubishi UFJ, Morgan Stanley is one of the big ones. Nomura is another big one. So there was a list of about 20, I believe. And I also just want to say, David, thank you for answering the question, because I think that answer is going to help a lot of people understand how it will, what it takes to make the XRapid work with XRP. And I don't doubt that if we see the same B2B platform that was built by Chain, and should they use the Lumens coin also to provide that liquidity, I'm sure they will have to utilize this same option. Okay. Yeah, I hope that helped a little bit in terms of shedding light on the most recent announcement. And then let's talk about liquidity. So in Japan, this is your fluff story. In Japan, rice has been a liquid asset for hundreds and hundreds of years, if not even thousands of years. And that liquidity has come in the way prior to the Meiji Restoration, which was at the end of the Edo period in the late 1800s. Rice was used as a currency. So depending on your status, whether you were part of the lords of domains, or if you were part of the samurai class, your salary was given in rice. And then you used that rice, it was a liquid asset, if you will, to then buy other goods. So it was really the gold of its time in Japan. And now today, you'll find there is rice paddy art. But they also have turned this into a kind of modern day liquid asset, and let me explain why. But first, let's enjoy some of this great art. So the rice paddy art began in 1993 when purple and yellow rice plants were used to make a picture. They did it with a plan to plant in a way that can create visually a painting, if you will, and even letters and numbers. So the main purpose behind the creation was to take advantage of the tradition of manual work in rice cultivation and give people the opportunity to learn more about rice farming and agriculture. And the rice paddy art uses these various colored plants to paint a picture in the rice field. So the rice field becomes the canvas. And the massive pictures are elaborately designed using perspective drawing methods to look at them from the best observation platform, a point that is just the right height to make the perspective look correct. And let's see, every year over 100,000 visitors from Japan and abroad go up to this region in Japan to look at the rice field art. So they have different tours, and I'll put that link in the comment section. So if you want to come, right now is the perfect time to see the rice field art, because we don't harvest till we've got like about another month, and it's quite high now. It's probably, if you stand in a paddy, it's going to go up over your knees. So it's really going to be quite lovely now. Let's take a look here. Here are some examples if you put in the town, which is Inakadate, rice art, or rice paddy art. You can see Google will bring up just hundreds of great images. You can see, look at this great one with Godzilla. Some of them are just really spectacular. So beautiful. Oh wow, there's even a very brightly blue and gray version. This is a famous animation TV show that's been running since the 60s, maybe, on Sunday night. Sazai-san, I think you can watch it at 6:30 p.m. in Tokyo on Sunday. Look at this one. Look how beautiful that is. So it's really fun, isn't it? Yeah, I think if you're interested, just put in that town, which is up in the Aomori area, in the north part of, not as north as Hokkaido, but it's the north part of Kanto, which is north of Tokyo. And here is where they learned how to actually make those pieces of art into another liquid asset. So a small village in northeast Japan, famous for rice, it's called Inakadate, was struggling with an aging and declining population, along with drops in rice sales. So to save the village, they created a huge art picture in the rice fields, which we just looked at, and then they developed a new technology called rice code, which lets visitors scan the rice art with their phones, like a QR code, and purchase the rice. How cool is that? So the rice code transforms the scene into a brand new selling piece. And the project successfully attracted 251,000 visitors, about 30 times the population size of the village. And the sales have jumped dramatically. So I think this was very modern and high-tech, using a rice field that has been part of the culture, not only just for food, but it was the currency for hundreds of years. And I'm just sure you could probably go back. It's been used for a couple of thousands of years. So anyway, that is your story of fluff today. Again, I hope that video shed some light on the new release, and I thank you for hanging in there with me. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.